Hi everyone, I'm Natalie and welcome to my channel. Today we will be sewing this Kindle case, which is perfect for my romantasy lovers and bookworms alike. If you'd like to sew along, you can grab the PDF pattern from my Etsy shop, which is linked in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe for more sewing tutorials and make sure you hit the bell button so you don't miss my next project. Let's get sewing! Okay, to start our Kindle project we're going to need our batting, and then we're going to need our main layer, which you should mark up where the quilting lines are with a heat erasable marker or a chalk. Then you're going to need your lining layer, which I just chose the same fabric as my main layer. We're going to start by layering our main layer of fabric over our batting layer, and then we're going to pin everything down so it's nice and secure. Going over to the sewing machine, we're going to sew down all of our quilt lines. This will create the quilted padded effect for our Kindle case. Once you've sewn all your quilt lines, this is what it should look like. We're then going to trim away any excess batting or wadding. Once you've trimmed and neatened up your edges, this is what everything should look like. We're now going to layer our lining fabric over the top of this with the right sides facing each other. Then just pin these layers to each other. You may notice the main layer might shrink a little bit from the quilting. To get around this, just pull everything a little, and it should be a bit stretchy, and just pull it a little whilst you put your pins in. Now we're going to sew around those layers with a 1 cm seam allowance, leaving the top edge free so we can fold it through afterwards. Now that our layers are sewn together, we're going to trim into the seam allowance around the curved edge so that when we fold it through, the seam will sit nice and flat. When you're doing this, just make sure not to cut into the stitching, but you can have your cuts quite close together, especially in the really curved sections. Now that that's done, pop your hand through and grab the curved edge and pull it through the free edge at the top. To get the curved edge nice and neat, I just like to roll the fabric layers between my fingers just to get it to neaten out. I then give everything a quick press to make sure my edges are nice and neat, and then I grab my bias binding strip and pin it to the top edge on the right side. I sew my bias binding strip 1 centimetre away from the edge. I then pressed my raw edge back by 0.5 centimetres so that we can fold this over to get a neat finish. To finish off my bias binding edges, I like to just fold everything over to the right side, pop a pin through, and then we're going to just sew down the edge just to finish it off into a nice corner. So here I am just sewing just the end of the bias binding so that we can finish it into a neat corner. We now want to trim down any excess bias binding and then just trim the corners so that it can be folded through nicely. Once you've finished trimming, just fold everything over to the right side again. I like to just use my little scissors to get a nice sharp point on those corners. Once you've given the binding a quick press, I like to just pin down the side to my lining, and then we're going to stitch from the top edge and make sure that we have caught the bias binding underneath. This is what it should look like once that's done. Now we're going to get our ribbon strips and we're going to fold them in half lengthways and give them a press. To sew our ribbon strips, we're going to start sewing from the short edge and then pivot at the corner and then sew down the rest of the long edge by 1 centimetre. Then we're going to trim down our corners so that we can create nice sharp points. I just used a wooden skewer just to push everything through to the right side, and then I took that skewer again on the pointy end and just made sure to sharpen up the corners. So now you should have the main body of the case, and we're going to attach the ribbons. To find where to attach the ribbons, I just like to fold over everything from where the fold lines are and then just mark it out with a little heat erasable marker. Pin one of the ribbons to the top edge marker and another ribbon to the curved edge marker. I think it's best just to fold the case and to make sure that everything aligns properly when you put it all together. I then attach the ribbons by just doing an edge stitch in a square formation around the ribbon. So now we've sewn our ribbons on, we can sew up the sides of our Kindle case. To do this, just pin the sides together using the fold lines on the pattern and then stitch down the edge with 0.5 seam allowance. Once you've sewn your edges and trimmed any excess thread, just tie up a little bow to secure your Kindle case and you're done. Thank you for watching, my fellow book lovers. I hope your Kindle case turns out beautifully and keeps your stories safe wherever you wander. If you enjoyed this tutorial, leave it a like, don't forget to comment and subscribe for more sewing projects like this. Happy sewing!